It's time for the Bob's Burger 100th episode. I'll see you guys after the intro.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AFTERBUZZ TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Hello, AfterBuzzers. I am here by myself, but it's okay because I am ready to talk about the amazing 2 episodes we had for the 100th episode and the season finale. I am your host, Alexis Torres. You can find me all over social media, and where all shenanigans will ensue at atorres890. That's ATORES890. So, I'm going to dive right into it because we have a lot to cover in the amount of time that I have, because I think these are my 2 favorite episodes of the entire season, besides maybe last week's, because that was pretty awesome too. But obviously, don't forget to check out Emma and Elena. They're not here right now because they are doing awesome things in Hawaii right now for the Hawaii Amazing Con. So check out Emma Fife at Emma Fife and Elena Jordan at Elena Jordan and that Elena Jordan girl on Instagram. So the first episode, which is quite the doozy with just the name in general, which is Secret Admiral-erer. And I feel really happy because Tina got to be kind of a spotlight on this. And again, it was having the kids talking about just pretty much just getting into their own shenanigans on their own. But I love that we had more of them in this episode than we did with the B team, which is Bob. But we can talk about them first. So Tina walking home with Jean and Louise and the twins and Jimmy Pesto? No. Who am I forgetting? Jimmy Jr. And they start walking down the street, and of course Tina's still like, Jimmy, I just want you to just notice me, just please. And he's just not having it. Jimmy Jr., one day you're gonna see that Tina is worth it. But she has to go to the Thunder, I think it's Thunder Girls or Thunder Scouts, and she has to go to a nursing home, pretty much an elderly home, and she has to go do like reading to the elderly. I don't know if anyone's ever done that before. I've never been in a troop or a scouts or anything like that, so I've never had to do that, but I have gone to a nursing home and actually like my choir and I used to perform at those. I always thought those were really, really cool. And so, let me see here. So we get to meet Meryl, who is the sweetest young lady I've ever seen. I called her young because she was just peppy. I liked her style and her personality. So let's see. I believe that when Tina first walks in, we get to meet her nephew, Joel, which I knew off the gate that there was something off about him, but I didn't know it was this bad. So it's his birthday, and Meryl decides to give him $25 for his birthday. It was a $25 check. And Tina's like, I'm here to read to you. But she doesn't have any books, so Tina read the mail to her, which I thought was actually kind of awesome. So they sit by the windowsill, and Meryl tells that every year Joel comes to visit her on his birthday, and she gives him a $25 birthday check. And I thought that was really sweet. I don't know if you guys ever had to like visit your grandparents, especially on your birthday, if they come to visit you and they give you money. I always thought that was really awesome, even though I usually repaid my grandma with like flowers or something like that. But I remember when Tina was reading, first I guess she was reading junk mail at first, and she was reading, I love it where she's like, congratulations, this is a good start. And Meryl's just like, well, and I didn't understand why she was saying well, and then she continued to read, and Tina was sitting there going, you've won a free gym membership. And she's like, oh, Meryl's like, oh, who's that from? Looks like it's from a gym. Oh, I don't know any gyms. Is it Bert? I know a Bert. and Tina's like, let's just put that over here. We'll just move on. And she read, I think, a Chinese takeout menu, seems like a sushi restaurant menu as well. And then they got a handwritten letter from a Admiral Peter Wilcox, which was talking about how they had this beautiful dance back in the day, and that he didn't have the nerve to tell her that I wanted to be with you for the rest of my life, and he wanted to kiss her, but he couldn't do it because he didn't have the gall. And of course, we all know how Tina is really into romance, and Meryl's just like, oh, I don't do that kind of stuff. I'm too old for that. And of course, Tina's like, no, we have to write him back. And of course, Meryl's like, no, it's okay. It's fine. And Tina did something naughty. She went home and she decided to write a response letter to Admiral Peter Wilcox, which I don't know how you feel about this. I always thought that that's like really scary. I don't know if anyone's ever had like pen pals like across the way and ever written letters, but holy moly, that really freaked me out. Don't forget, you guys, if you're in the live chat, you can go ahead and put your comments, because I want to know what you guys liked about the episode, and also you can call in as well. I don't have the number in front of me, but my awesome engineer Mark can tell our awesome...
The number is 424-253-0504. I'm going to put it up on the screen in just a second.
Thank you. So we'll get back to that while he does that. So, like I said, Tina was being very naughty and decided to write a letter back to Peter Wilcox. So, like I said, I don't know if anyone's ever had pen pals, but I've always had friends in like Asia or Europe, and I would send letters back and forth when I was really, really young. And it was just like a thing we did in school. But I don't know if anyone else has ever actually done that, but I know that that's something that I loved. But if we can take a break from that and we go into the Bob story, the burger of the day that I did see was the On Nuts burger, which I guess was peanut butter on a burger. And I thought that was very interesting. I don't know if anyone's ever
Have you ever
tried
had that?
I've never had that before. Is it good?
It's really good.
Really?
There's a place... what is it called? What was that hot dog place that I went to all the time?
Fabs?
Yes, Fab Dog. There's a place in Los Angeles that has it. They have it as a special menu item, and it's surprisingly fantastic. I would recommend it if anybody has it in their area. Give it a shot. It's the closest thing that you'll have to eating an original Bob's Burger.
Down. I'm so down. It's weird because I can't think of like a peanut butter and like jelly and then like a burger. Like it's the tastes are really weird, but I feel like I could go for it. I don't know. I'll try it. And that was also Engineer Mark, if you guys ever want to talk to him about that.
Hi, everybody.
And so he bumps into these two chefs, which sadly enough, their names are escaping me. I probably forgot to write their names down, but it's okay. That they were coming in and they pretty much loved the peanut butter burger that they had, the On Nuts burger, and they were talking about how they were like, yeah, the guys will love this place. And both Bob and Linda are like, what are you talking about? They're like, oh, we're all chefs and sous chefs and, and things like that. And we just need a place to just take a break and enjoy after work hours. And they're like, hey, can we do this here? And Bob's like, yeah, you could totally do that here. Okay, cool. Is midnight all right? And in my brain, I was going, what? And Bob's like, well, we're closed. We close at 7. And he's like, oh, okay, you could just open up the restaurant, right? And Bob's like, sure. That sounds great. And in my brain, I'm like, I don't like this. I don't think this is a good idea. But Bob's always rearing to meet new friends, especially chefs, and hang out with them. So he says that he's totally up around that time. And Linda's like, yeah, to pee. And he's like, yeah, to pee and party. And just it really showed Bob's true colors there. And I love that. So Bob decided to stay up and watch TV until he had to go open the restaurant at midnight. And the next morning... the kids and Linda show up and the place is trashed. First I thought that they robbed the place and I was freaking out because I was like, no, poor Bobby got robbed and this is going to be really terrible for him. But no, apparently there were so many people at the restaurant at midnight and they partied all the way until morning because they had to open the restaurant at 8 to clean and prep for the next day. And he was just hungover, and there's beer bottles, wine bottles, there was just food, wrappers, everything was all over. And apparently these guys just party hard, and they go to different restaurants and they just party all night. So poor Bob just kind of got yanked into that, and I felt really bad for him. So let me see. Going back to the whole Meryl situation, we come back and Tina checks every single day to see if Meryl ever received a letter back from Peter Wilcox. And she waited and she waited, and finally she got a response. Peter Wilcox responded, and he's like, yes, I would love to see you. Please wear the blue dress and the pearls that you were wearing from that same exact night. So Tina was so excited that she got the glam squad together, which is Louise and Jean, and they were going to make Meryl's night something to remember. And then guess who decides to show up? It's Joel, which I thought was really weird that he was back, but I thought he was just coming to visit. But he says, I'm here because it's my birthday. That's strange. I thought your birthday was yesterday. That's weird. But apparently because Meryl is so old and her memory's not that great, Joel will come by once a week to say it's his birthday so he can get $25 every week. So I was very upset, and he's a butthole just for that.
I'm very upset.
No, it's so terrible. Meryl's the sweetest old lady that you will ever meet, and he was just taking advantage of her because that was her nephew, and it's crap, just absolute crap. So Louise had this crazy idea, which I was definitely on board, was that Joel was the one that was writing the letter, and it was him who was trying to start something up, because right after Joel left, because he said, oh, I need private time, or private nephew time with my aunt, and when they came back into the room after Joel left, the pearls were missing. They weren't in the room. So they thought Joel stole it, and because the reason why was because she put her pearls into storage, and when she got the letter, she brought the pearls back out for this special night. And so Louise was like, it's Joel. He's the one. He did it. It's his fault. So, Tina, of course, because she's the advocate for romance, she's like, no, this is not right. We have to call the police. And we get the chief back, or I guess he's not, I don't know if he's the chief or he's just a detective. I'm not really quite sure. But he, of course, he writes everything down, and he's like, yeah. And then he takes his notebook and smacks both Jean, Louise, and Tina, all three of them. I was like, don't waste my time. I am a good policeman, this and this, this. And it was fantastic. But I did like in the end that he did end up going to Joel's place to search it. But before we get to that, they decide that they're not going to give up on love, and Meryl deserves this night because Meryl says that this is the most that she's ever felt, and that this is something that she's looking forward to, and I love that. I think that's fantastic. So they decide to get mints and glue them with dental floss to make the pearls, and because they didn't know if the Admiral was real, they decide, after Bob has been partying for the past few weeks and is constantly hungover or drunk, I can't even tell at this point. He's got bags under his eyes. He's been throwing up for weeks. He's just a hot mess. That they're going to make him the Admiral. So he got a new chef coat from one of the new chefs that he's been hanging out with. And they put weird little stickers to look like medals. They put salt, or not salt, a flour in his hair so that it will become white, and in his mustache. And they give him a hat. And they put slices of cheese on his shoulders to make it look like he's, from the Navy. And so they meet up at the dance hall that is still apparently moving, unless it was at the nursing home. I'm not quite sure. And they play the song that they were singing before, or they were playing back in that time. And Meryl's just like, oh, you look a little different. And Bob's just like, I'm so glad that you're here. You look beautiful. And they start to dance, and it's this beautiful, magical moment. But then the cheese starts to fall off, and the weird stickers are falling off. And I'm thinking, this is it. She's going to find out, and it's going to be terrible. And Tina feels really bad. And guess who shows up? The real Admiral, Peter Wilcox. And he's like, I'm the real Admiral, Peter Wilcox. And she's like, well, who are you? I'm Wilson Peacock. Oh, wow, how weird and how strange. So I love that it was actually true, and we found out that the pearls were actually in her purse. She probably just moved it from the case to their purse so that she wouldn't lose it. So Tina was like, oh my gosh, Louise, you were completely wrong. And she's like, okay, we don't have to start telling people about that. And I loved that episode because Tina finally felt that true love still does exist. And I love that that's how we ended it, because I feel like Tina was feeling pretty crappy about love and that she'll never be with Jimmy Jr., but now she has a little light of hope. So please tell me what you guys thought. Again, you can call in when he'll put the number somewhere up here, or check out the live chat. Mark's checking it for me since I can't do both because I have my notes up. I want to know what you guys thought and how cute Tina was about that episode. So before we get into the 100th episode. But while we take a break before we get into that, I want to talk about iTunes. Don't forget, guys, I know that it's a season finale, and I know it's a little weird because I'm just by myself, but don't forget to keep tweeting us. Both Emma Fife, myself, and Elena Jordan will definitely be back if they do another season. And let us know what you guys thought of these 2 episodes if you didn't get to catch it live with me. And also don't forget to go to iTunes, check out the Bob's Burger After Show on AfterBuzz TV. Give us 5 stars, 4 stars. The other stars do not work. And give us a rating. And I'll probably shout them out the next time because I know that the girls will probably want to talk about the episode. So maybe we'll do something outside of the studio and we'll just film it just the three of us or something like that. It'll be fun. Anything in the chat, Mark?
Yes, actually, from Jazz41173.
What up?
It was a nursing home. I love that Bob, even hungover, goes along with their plan.
Right?
What a great. He's always been a great dad. And David Bear also agrees. Yes, he's so wasted, tired, he couldn't fight it.
I know. I love that he couldn't fight it. They were just like, keep sticking stuff on. I thought that was super adorable. But this episode, which is next, which is Glued, Where's My Bob? The 100th episode and the season finale, I was actually tearing up. Mark can attest he was there. And I
just caught the last scene and was like, yo, what's going on?
It was so moving, but we'll get there. Yes, the heart, the feels, all of it. Toot toot, we're getting on the feels train. All right, so the start of the 100th episode was obviously everyone's in the restaurant just having a good time. And apparently Louise is playing this game or a prank with her rest of her siblings, and it's called You Got Gooped. So pretty much it's where they put anything around the house where it's just really gross. I believe Jean put guacamole in Louise's shoe. I couldn't remember what Jean found first. I'll have to look that one up. I love that. I think Tina grabbed the fridge handle and she's like, oh, hummus. And she tried to grab a napkin and she's like, oh, mayonnaise, double gooped. And it was fantastic. I don't know if you guys have ever played any type of pranks on your siblings or anything like that. I've definitely played the Goop game. I filled up my brother's brand new sneakers. They weren't anything. I think they were like Adidas or something like that with Hershey's chocolate syrup. And then he put shaving cream, which is what Jean got. Jean got shaving cream in his pillow, but he put it in this nightcap I used to wear to keep my hair when it's straight from curling, and he filled it up with shaving cream. So yeah, my siblings and I are great, just great. I'm just kidding. So great thing is we get Skip Maruch. If you don't remember him, is when they had the burger off. I think it was either this season or probably last season, I believe. And he calls Bob to let him know that Coasters Magazine is coming to do an interview about him because Skip thinks that Bob is an amazing person and he deserves it and his restaurant deserves it. And they want to try his burgers, check out his place at 3 p.m. today, like that time. I think when he called, it was like a few hours before. So I'm going to say probably like noon, maybe 11. And the burger of the day was the Hand That Rocks the Bagel Burger. And it's on an everything bagel. Is that correct? Yeah. And I thought that was awesome. Of course, Bob is very, very nervous because he's like, oh my God, this could change our whole career. Everyone could come to our restaurant. So, of course, the whole family is trying to help out. They clean up the place, and he asks Louise, no more gooping. And she's like, yes, no more future gooping. And he's like, no, Louise, don't do it. And of course, she can't account for anything that she's already laid out. So, not Tina, Linda and Bob are kind of practicing, which I thought was really weird. I wish, Mark, that you saw this because she starts to interview Bob, like practice interview, but she's holding a butcher knife or like a knife, like she's cutting up tomatoes and she keeps moving the knife back and forth.
Before you said that, I was going to ask if she was holding a knife. I know Linda too well.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. I was just like, I love it because at first Bob was just kind of answering her questions, and it was just like, what is Bob's Burgers or Bob Belcher? Why is Bob Belcher? What is Bob Belcher? And it was just over and over, and he's like, one, they wouldn't ask questions like that, Linda. That's weird. And two, you're using a knife back and forth to me you're interviewing with a knife and it's making me nervous.
What? What's the problem?
I don't know. Sharp objects? You work in a kitchen. Get used to it. But the bad thing is it makes him so nervous that he has these things called panic poops. Now, I'm not going to get into crazy gritty details because this is not something that we should be talking about.
The way you said now sounded like you're about to break it down, like into great, ridiculous detail.
If you look at the screen, no, just kidding. I have a graph here. No, panic poops are actually pretty normal for people who have bad anxiety or anything like that. It's just a thing if you didn't know, because I know some people are like, panic poops, that sounds like something made up. No, it's a real thing. But he gets panic poops, so he tries to go to the employee bathroom, and apparently Gene has stuffed all of his stuffed animals down the toilet because he is a grown-up now. He's a big boy now. He doesn't need the stuffed animals anymore. So he's like, well, we have to deal with this, Linda. And she's like, no, he's not ready. We should work on it later. And he's like, no, but okay, I'll just use the restaurant bathroom. He goes in there, and apparently there's some weird sticky stuff on the, well, it's funny, there's no seat because it's Swiss, so it's just a toilet, which I always thought was really weird. I don't know if that's an actual thing. If it is, please tell me. Louise was the one who put it there. It was supposed to be for Gene, but apparently he didn't take his mid-afternoon or mid-early afternoon poop or something like that. And she said she found a jar in the basement that was from Teddy that she thought was like grease or something like that. But we find out that he can't get up because he has been glued to the toilet. Just the toilet in general. It literally doesn't have a seat. So it's just the bowl.
Really quickly, wasn't the stuffed animals, wasn't that a payoff for, hasn't Gene been talking about that all season?
I think so. I think he's been slowly getting up to the point of getting rid of his stuffed animals. Yeah. So I think that's correct.
Oh God.
Yeah. No, these guys have been growing up. I'm really proud of especially all the kids. Louise really I really appreciated what she went through in this episode, but we'll get to that. So so yeah, we find out that he's just stuck to the toilet bowl and he has an interview in the next few hours. I love how they didn't tell us how many hours it was. They just kept saying they'll be here soon. So they're like, we're gonna sue. Oh no, Louise is like, oh, we should sue Teddy. It's his fault. And Louise is just under the impression that this is not her fault. This was supposed to be for Gene. This is not her fault. She was just setting up for Gene, and it was his fault for not doing his mid-early afternoon poop instead. And also it's Teddy's fault for not labeling his stuff. So Linda calls Teddy, and we find out that it's his sticky spackle. It's his own concoction that he made that is stronger than super glue. And I actually wanted to point this out, and I want to know what you guys think, so definitely tell Mark in the chat so that he can tell me. Teddy, when Linda calls him, he's in therapy. He's having his first therapy session, and the therapist has brought up that Teddy is only there to fix other people's problems. Who's gonna fix Teddy? And I love that because I've been talking about this entire season that Teddy has been on a weird brink of like having a crazy meltdown and hurting somebody. And because he's just been yelling at people and getting angry for no reason. He's very vibrant. And I was just like, what's going on with you? I don't know what's happening. You okay, Teddy? And now he's getting help, even though he left in the middle of the session and he's like, Bob needs me, screw it, I'm gonna go help. And he just leaves. And I love that Teddy is so he loves Bob so much that he would leave a therapy session to go help him out. And I think that's really funny. But as that's happening, Linda's trying to, have the kids guard the door and make sure that nobody knows that Bob is glued to the toilet. But we all know how a Bob's Burger episode starts. It's never that simple. So craziness happens. We got a song in Bob's Burgers. I mean, I know that we usually do sometimes, but like this was awesome hearing Bob singing about bad stuff happens in the bathroom and talking about like it's not gonna take that long, everything's gonna be fine, I'm gonna get out of this and everything's okay. At the same time, Louise was also singing about this is not her fault and everything's gonna be okay because it's not my fault, it's all Gene and Teddy's fault, and I'm gonna be the hero because I'm gonna help Dad get out of this situation. And I just thought it was great. The singing was just great. I loved their harmonizing, and then they start floating with Bob's pants by his ankles, and they're floating, and it's just super adorable. You gotta
keep them in the situation they were in.
Yeah.
Renji90998 says the duet with Bob and Louise was lovely.
Yeah.
Misha C says, I love how they keep the tradition of at least one episode with a musical number. This one was great. Yeah. Reminds me of the one with Linda working at the supermarket.
Oh man, I really liked her working at the supermarket, but it was also kind of weird seeing Linda not in Bob's Burgers, like in the actual restaurant. So I thought that was very interesting. But I liked that episode. Good eye. So Teddy just shows up, and people are already coming into the restaurant because Marshmallow, which is I love her so much, comes in and she's there to help out with whatever she can. I always forget that blonde girl that always comes in and kind of helps. She has like that really deep voice. I can't remember her name, so chat, help me out. And she was there to make Bob pretty for the interview. And of course, guess who walks in? Mr. Jimmy Pesto comes in because he's like, why is there so many people here? What's going on? And where's Bob? I swear I can smell him from all the way across the street, which, it's just Jimmy Pesto just asking for attention. And nobody knows what's happening. They're just like, where's Bob? Why can't we see Bob? What's going on? And Teddy runs in and he starts running towards the bathroom door and tries to break it down. And in my brain, I'm going, oh, this is not going to end well. Teddy takes off his shirt and is like, I was only going half force. I'm going in now. And he like runs full force to the door and breaks it down. And everybody sees poor Bob, super sticky, spackled to the toilet. And it is the worst day. He looks at Linda and he goes, Linda? And she goes, yes, Bob. And he goes, kill me now. I felt really bad. And of course, in Jimmy Pesto fashion, he decided to make money and make a giant fuss about it. He tells the whole entire town to come over and look at the guy who's stuck on the toilet or glued to the toilet.
Real quick, Ren Johnson said, and David Bear, a couple people saying, is it Gretchen?
Gretchen,
the
yes,
blonde?
It's Gretchen.
The local stylist?
Yes, I love her. Sorry, I was gonna say Gail, and I was like, no, that's Aunt Gail. We all know who that is.
Do
and
not
I was
be
like,
smirch Aunt Gail.
Oh, no.
I know you never would. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, but like at the same time, I'm like, I also haven't seen Aunt Gail in forever, and the last time we heard about her name, besides the fact of just hearing her here and there in episodes, was that Mr. Frond was cheating on her. So I'm like, we need to right? I'm like, we need to talk about this, but maybe next season. I'm hoping. I don't know if maybe the voice actress was busy and so she couldn't get to do any lines for the rest of the season. But I'm upset because I need to know how Aunt Gail is doing. Besides, Mark and I did see her at the very end of the episode in the lineup during the last song, so that was kind of nice to see her. But so Jimmy Pesto pretty much was like the sad man stuck to the can. Was the phrase that was being thrown around. There was T-shirts and news crews and everything. It was a whole 9 yards, and I felt really bad for him. So I love the fact that it was technically Gene who told him what happened, because they thought that it was like, oh, Bob's just pooping on the toilet and we're all seeing it, but Gene was the one that was like, no, Jimmy Pesto, he's glued to the toilet. And Bob's like, why did you tell him that? And he's like, oh, I only told Jimmy Pesto, but then I also told people on social media, but people are cool there, so they won't blab about it. And I love that he said that. I thought that was really great, which technically there are some cool people on the internet, and then there's other people on the internet, which will not be mentioned. Anyway, so Teddy says that he can take the sticky spackle off by using nail polish remover, but it will take hours for it to take an effect, and they need a lot of nail polish remover, and they don't have that amount of time. So Louise decides to call Dr. Yap, the dentist, to see if he can help out. And of course, that's just another person to bring in. And Gretchen is actually doing his hair for the interview as all this is happening. And Bob's just like, I hate everything. And of course, Dr. Yap said that, what did he say? He said, I'm trying to see if I can find it. He said something about adhesives. That he deals with solvents and adhesives. I am the perfect person to call, and I thought that was really awesome. And so what he has two options. He has one where he can get this stuff that will take it right off and it will be painless, but I have to order it and then it will ship within 1 to 5 business days or something like that. And that's obviously not helpful. But he said the best way to take a tooth out is I'm going to put Novocaine in your legs, and we're going to just yank you out like a bad tooth, like put a rope around you and yank you out.
Oh,
I don't know. Yeah. I don't know how anyone else felt about this idea, but in my brain, I was thinking, this is really bad. And also just the fact of just thinking, again, not to gross anybody out, iTunes listeners, Mark, anybody, you could be numbed up, but that's your skin ripping off. That's terrible. That's absolutely terrible. So of course, in my brain, I'm like, they're not going to do that. There has to be a different way. There's got to be another way. I loved our roller skating guy that always wears the banana hammock. I love him so much. He says, we are all glued to the to a toilet called Earth. I think that's going to be my phrase. I think it's my favorite phrase from the entire season, and that's my favorite. But because the nail polish remover wasn't working, there was nothing else they can do. Everybody in town knows about it. They decided we have to try it. There's no other way. So they numb him up from, I guess, the hips down or the butt down. I don't really know. And they tie a rope around his waist. It's Dr. Yap, the kids, Linda, and Teddy. And they hold onto the rope and they're going, and they give him a countdown. 3, 2, 1, and they're just yanking. I love that Dr. Yap was like, when you hear the screaming, just ignore it. We just gotta keep pushing through.
Solid dentist logic.
Yeah, and he's like, the screaming will eventually stop. And I was just like, oh, this is why I hate going to the dentist. Was for that reason alone. And I'm sorry, guys. I was cringing and screaming with Bob because watching them pull him off the toilet, which obviously didn't work because he was still stuck because it was definitely not working and he could feel everything.
Did nobody think of unscrewing the toilet seat?
There was no toilet seat.
Oh, it was. Whoa.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, I'm glad that you brought that up, is because it's a Swiss toilet. They guys
covered their tracks, those monsters.
Oh, yep. And the actual guys that were from Coaster magazine, Newton Fremont and the photographer Corey, I can't remember his last name, but Corey, Corey was like, you can just unscrew the toilet seat and just move on. And then Bob's like, there is no toilet seat. And Gene's like, yeah, it's Swiss. So you weren't alone. I was thinking the same thing, and I felt really bad for
If there is one
Bob.
person that I would like to be identified as, it would be Gene.
It would be Gene. Oh, actually, speaking of, you'll love this, Mark. He said that he hopes that if the magazine does well and they make a movie about him, he wants Bette Midler to play him in the movie.
Can't do better than that.
Can't do better than that. I'm totally fine with that. But apparently the reason why he chose to do the yanking was because, according to Teddy, there's just too much butt. There's too much butt, Bob.
Yeah, there's just too much butt, Bob.
Yeah, exactly like that. Oh, it was really good. I just didn't like it. Sadly enough, like I said, Newton Fremont and the photographer Corey, I guess Battler, I don't really know his last name, came in and they were not impressed, which, I mean, why would you? And Bob finally snapped. He said, I can't quote all of it, but he said, this is how it is at Bob's Burgers all the time. Things happen like this all the time. His eye was twitching. He was screaming and spitting. It was crazy. I was like, oh my God, Bob has finally lost it. And I think Louise finally felt like, this is my fault. And this is where I was starting to tear up. They leave because apparently Newton said he is very unique, but he's not inspiring. And I was so mad. Skip actually said that there was supposed to be a nicer writer that was supposed to come in, but he couldn't make it. So they had Newton come in, who apparently is much more strict and very mean. And we definitely got that. So Louise runs out as they're leaving, and she apologizes that it's her fault. Like, she admitted it fully that it was her fault, and it was not supposed to be her dad. It was supposed to be Gene, and it was just a very heartfelt moment, and I loved it. And then Teddy was saying, like, oh, he's a beautiful person. He's not. You might see a very weird man with excessive body hair, but I see a beautiful man on a toilet. And it was just so touching to see the town actually like root for Bob, even though he was in the worst part, and they actually chanted toilet Bob instead of Bob, and Bob's sitting there in the background going, no, just Bob, no, don't chant that, why do you have to chant that? And I felt really bad for him, but I teared up because it was so awesome just really seeing the town really get together and be like, yeah, toilet Bob, he deserves it, like, you guys are jerks. And they ran out pretty much. And at that point in time, Bob finally rips himself off the toilet, and pins and needles. I mean, he's been sitting on that toilet for hours, and they're all cheering for him because he finally got off the toilet, and all was good. I think a few weeks or a few days later, they get the magazine. I love that mailman. I don't know his name, but he's fantastic.
A month?
I think a month. I think so. I don't know. But he gets the article, or he gets the magazine, and the article's in there, and they actually wrote a really beautiful thing. I mean, they didn't get to try his food, which they did mention in the article, but they said that there was a very unique and strangely inspiring moment because of the town folk, and that got me. I don't know how any of you guys felt about that, but I loved every minute of that.
I was a little bit too distracted with the burger on the wall.
Yes, the burger on the wall was put me in poached burger, and Mark was actually the one that helped me out.
Seems like it's a poached egg on a burger.
Yes, and I loved that. Thank you, Mark, for pointing that out because I couldn't see it. So, but yeah, I mean, it's sad that it's the end, but it was a really great way to end the season, because the fact that it really showed, because most of the time we usually see the town usually against Bob in some way, shape, or form, or it doesn't just go his way. And even though it didn't go his way in the beginning, in the end it still showed that, you know, they cared. I mean, sadly enough, they did put a picture of him on the toilet and talked about him being on the toilet, but it didn't matter, because they said that if you want to learn what happened and why he was on the toilet, you have to go into Bob's Burgers and ask him himself. And I thought that was fantastic. And I'm hoping next season there'll be more people in his restaurant, because if you watch from the start of the season to the end, there was actually a few more customers every single time, and I really liked that. Even today, there was a few people in the background when Louise and everybody was trying to do the goop thing. And at the very end, Bob got his revenge back by gooping the kids, by putting some weird green goop in the menus. And it was awesome. And there was customers coming in at that point in time, and it was fantastic. And at the end, we had everybody, the whole entire town, singing the song with them. And that's like, right now I'm like trying to fight back tears, because it was just phenomenal.
Yeah, the first song was one thing, but the reprise with everybody in the town coming in, that one was like, wow, they're good. Bob deserves this. And I think where right there, Renji90998 says, in a way the interview talked more about Bob's Burgers the show than Bob's Burgers the restaurant.
Exactly. And that's what I know that we're running low on time, but that was the one thing that really rounded out the season for me, was seeing the fact that it wasn't just about Bob and the kids. It was about the show. It was about everybody just being together and things like that. And it was just so moving. And like I said, I definitely teared up, and it was crazy. I can't even believe that we've had 100 episodes. I don't know why I thought we hit that mark a while ago, but I don't care, because it was so, yeah, Mike the Mailman, it was so great. I love it. It was just fantastic, and I'm really glad that we had a really great season. I'm really sad that it's ending, but I definitely want to know what you guys want to do for the next season. I can jump into predictions real quick and tell you how I feel about it.
Your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
Night show. Nothing really. You already know I want more Gail. I love Aunt Gail, and I want her to be in this season more. Again, I don't know if it's because the actress herself had stuff to do and she was busy, or something going on with life, but I really love just everything about her just stuff that she has going on in her life. I miss her, and I would like to see what happened between her and Frond. If we're never gonna bring that up, then that's fine. I guess we can just move on from that. But
quietly kill off Frond off screen.
Right?
Actually, no, we have to see that.
No, I would like to see that. I would like to see what happened.
Yes.
But okay. According to Jazz41173, it was renewed for another season, but I think it will be on at 7:30 or 6:30. Okay. I mean, if it did, I'm fine with that, because I'm always happy for more Bob's Burgers, and I would be really sad if it got canceled, but I highly doubt they would ever cancel Bob's Burgers, but you never know, knock on wood. But yeah, I definitely want more Aunt Gail. I miss her. I want to see more of that. I definitely want to see the kids more maturing, because they have matured. Like I said, I loved the horse camp with Tina. I love that she was able to just we got like alone time with her. I thought that was really awesome. And I want to see Louise deal with her another boy crush that's not from the boy band. Like, I want like an actual boy crush. If it doesn't happen, it's not gonna kill me. I just would like that. And I just want to see Jean actually doing something more too. I like seeing our individual characters doing something on their own than just all together, because I mean, I love it. I love seeing them all together, but I would like for them to grow as a character on their own and see that. So I don't know, but I kind of miss Mort. Oh yeah, we don't get to see most of him. I feel like he's been kind of missing. He was in this episode though. He didn't say anything, but he definitely was sitting and hanging out by the counter. So I wanted to see that. But I would like to see a trip in the area. I want to see more of that. I agree. I love this show. Thanks, David Bear, and you guys are all amazing. So don't forget again to go to iTunes, subscribe there, leave a comment and a review. 5 stars, 4 stars, the other stars don't work. And definitely comment down if on the video, down in the comments below. Tell us again what you guys want to see for the next season, what you guys thought of this episode. Don't forget to tweet Emma Fife and Aleda Jordan at Emma Fife, and Elena Jordan, or that Elena Jordan girl on Instagram. Guys, I'm Alexis Torres. I can't believe that it's ending. I mean, not for good, of course, just for now. But definitely, I still want to talk about Bob's Burgers. I'm definitely going to be watching on Netflix, so tell me what your favorite Bob's Burgers episode of either this season or seasons past, because I definitely want to know. I think mine was definitely this one. And I'll see you guys next week. Or not next week, when it comes back. Or any of the other shows that I do here at AfterBuzz TV, especially Emma Fife and Elena Jordan as well. My Twitter handle and all over social media is atorres, ATORRES 890. Guys, have a wonderful night. Happy Sunday. And I'll see you guys later. Bye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.